what's going on, everyone? It's JBReal. Welcome back to episode 2 of Homeless Dad, Laws of the 3W series. If you're here from episode 1, thank you for coming back. If you're new here, go check out episode 1 because we're building something real here. In episode 1, we talked about the war inside a man's mind and why most men suffer in silence. Today, in episode 2 of the Homeless Dad series, I'm going to take you guys back to the beginning because before the fall, before the drugs, before the addiction, before the homelessness, there was this thing I like to call the bubble. And this is where it all starts. Not the glamorous part, not the comeback, the part that most people try to forget or pretend it never even happened. This is what I like to call the bubble. And if you grew up in this bubble, then you know what I'm talking about. In this bubble, there's no nice neighborhoods with white picket fences. It's just poverty, with walls so thick that you can't even see out, and most people can't even see in. It's being broke all the time. It's survival, and it's not only the absence of money, it's also the absence of options. You learn real quick that love and pain can live in the same house. Sometimes could be the same person. I thought love and pain were the same thing, just different names. But it shaped me. It taught me how to duck, how to fight, how to stay quiet when I needed to disappear. It also taught me how to watch, how to observe. I used to watch these TV shows that end with just a hug and a happy ending. And I used to ask myself, why? Why is it my life like that? So you focus on trying to make it home safe. You focus on not trying to be embarrassed in school, on trying to keep the lights on, not being weak. The crazy part is when I tell people what we went through, they're shocked, right? They can't believe it. My girl, I told her it's a culture shock, right? Because she grew up in a different culture. But for me, this was normal. For us, this was I laugh because it's like the way I'm laughing right now because it was normal for us. That's just what it was. You know what I mean? It's still normal. I live a different life, but it's still I can still survive off of bread and ketchup, but you don't gotta stay in the bubble forever. I worked, I think it was either first or second grade when I got my first job. I was working at a C-Town bagging groceries, and because I wanted to buy me some Nikes. My dad, he couldn't afford Nike, so we went to Payless. If probably some of you kids watching this don't even know what Payless is, right? But we went to Payless, and I ended up getting me some sneakers, the Giants sneakers, the NFL team Giants, and I thought it was the coolest sneakers in the world because I'm like, yo, this is football. This is gonna be cool. I'm gonna go to school. I got a football team on my feet. It's gonna be awesome. And now I got ragged on. I went home crying. But I ended up going to the local supermarket and started bagging up groceries to, pay for my Nikes. And then I ended up working because the manager of the supermarket, the C-Town, was cool with us. And he lived in my dad's building that he was a superintendent of. He ended up letting me restock aisles and everything. So aisle 2 was mine and I would restock it. And then the way he would pay me, because he can't give me cash, he would just buy me whatever I wanted. So if I wanted sneakers, he'll just go get them. He'd be like, what you want? I'm like, I want these sneakers. He'll go get them. Next day I had those sneakers, But yeah, I had to work. I had to grind for it. My dad, like I said, he was a superintendent of a building, and we were the ones who cleaned the building. We were the ones who took out the trash. It was a 48-unit building in the Bronx, 6 stories. Every morning before school, go around each floor, take out all the trash from the compactor rooms, bring them downstairs, clean the building, clean the front because they had to be cleaned before 7:30, then go to school, come home from school, go work at the C-Town, come back, take out the trash Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Wednesdays were trash and recycling. If it snowed, we were out there twice a day, 3 times a day shoveling because you can't have snow. If somebody slips, they'll sue the owners of the real estate company that owns the building. And that was us doing everything, me and my brothers. But nothing was given to us. But I don't want this to be a sob story, right? This is not a sob story. This is the foundation of who I am and how it all began. Because hard work never discriminated. Hard work don't discriminate on age. They don't care how old you are. Hard work doesn't care. You know? You got to go out there and get it. You got to go out there and hustle. You got to go out there and figure it out, right? If you don't have it, you got to figure it out. That's what we do as men, right? We figure it out. How many of you guys out there have said, I'll figure it out? You're going through a tough situation. The first thing you say is, I'll figure it out. You know? You don't know how you're going to do it. Because what does I figure it out means? It means I don't know how I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. You know? You know, people who grew up like me and my brothers, you end up one of three things, right? You end up a statistic of one of three things. Dead, on drugs, or in gangs. You know, I checked off 2 of those boxes. I got a brother who checked off 2 of those boxes, but he was 1 failed surgery away from removing the 5 bullets in his body from checking off all 3. I got another brother who checked off all 3. I got a cousin who checked off all 3. I got friends who checked off all 3. I seen it close. I lived it close. I seen people get swallowed by it, you know? And for a while, I just thought that was life. That's just the way things are. That's just the way it's supposed to be, you know? You don't ask for the cards that are dealt, but you are expected to play those cards. I was actually having a conversation with my son today. You know, we were coming back from lifting, and I told him, I said, look, I did my best to try to make sure you guys had the best cards to be dealt with to play this game of life, right? This poker game of life. I had to bluff a lot, you know? When I didn't have anything, I had to go all in when I didn't have everything. I didn't have anything, actually, and I had to go all in and bluff and gamble on myself. And I'm fortunate enough that I was able to win hands and lose hands, but I've won more than what I've lost. You know, I made sure you guys had the best cards to play this game of poker. And now you could gamble and go all in with stuff to go all in. You have tools, you have the skills, you have the mindset, you have the life experiences, you have everything that you need to take these next steps in life, stuff that I never had. I made sure that they wasn't trapped inside that bubble. And I'm not trying to say that it was all bad growing up, man. There was unity. It was, people looked out for each other. The crossing guards knew us. The grocery store owners knew us. As a matter of fact, I remember going to school one day, and I was gonna steal a nutty buddy, and they used to be 25 cents at the time, and I was gonna steal one. I've stolen from that grocery store before. It's right there on Tremont and Grand Concourse. I stole it from that grocery store before, but this time I actually got caught. And I'm walking out the store, and he's like, hey, empty out your pockets. And I'm like, I'm gone. And I made it down the block to the corner, and I ended up getting caught. That guy literally grabbed me, took me to my dad. He walked, took me to my dad. He knew where we lived. Dad was like, hey, here you go. Yeah. But that's the way it was, right? The drug dealers, there were drug dealers that would like go up to the ice cream truck and just be like, here, give them a bill and like, here you go. This for all the kids, whatever they want. Here you go, and keep the rest. Which that unity gave us hope. Yeah, it gave us hope. I look at the world today and I'm just like, what happened to that unity? What happened to the community? What happened to the brotherhood? Why are so many men losing their minds and dying in silence? I dedicated this book to my brother Angel because when he passed away, when he took his life, it made me question one of my biggest whys. Why are so many men dying in silence? And it's not because they're not strong. They're not weak. It's not because you're weak. It's not because you don't have heart. It's because you don't have the language. You don't have the tools. You don't have someone saying, hey, yo, you all right? You good? You need someone to talk to? Hey, everything's okay? We don't have that no more. We've lost that brotherhood. We've lost that unity. I lost my brother and I had to ask that question. Why are so many men dying in silence? And that wasn't an easy question. See, this channel exists because of that question. This video that I'm shooting right now, this right now is because of that question. This book is because of that question. This is not only men, there's kids. Look, if you guys are in that bubble, you're not cursed. You're not doomed to repeat the same cycle that you are known to. You could break the cycle. You could. You don't have to become a statistic. You could become an anomaly. Until I didn't start asking myself these 3 questions, right? Why is this happening to me? Why do I continue the same pattern that was given to me, right? Why? What am I going to do about it? What is it that's keeping me comfortable in this pattern? What? And when? When am I going to do something about it? When am I going to step up and decide enough is enough? See, that was the foundation of the laws of the 3 W's. I didn't have the name for it, the laws of the 3 W's, but I've always asked myself those questions. Why, what, when? On repeat in my head, until I finally did something about it. When I finally did something about it, I became an anomaly. An anomaly is someone that just doesn't fit in with the pattern, right? And because the pattern was hurt someone else, broke, stay broke, anger, stay angry, Same neighborhood, same story. But I refused it. I refused to follow that same exact pattern. I started seeing the bubble. And when I made that change, I started seeing the bubble for what it was. It was a cage, right? It's a cage. And it's a cage that you can't just break open. You break it through changing your mindset. You gotta ask yourself, when are you gonna stop letting yesterday write tomorrow? When? I don't have all the answers, but I know one thing. These 3 honest questions, just these 3 honest questions alone, could take that step for you for change. And unless you change, you're going to repeat the same cycle. It's going to stay over and over and over again. So, what's the worst that's going to happen? What's the worst that's going to happen? You start asking yourself these honest questions. You start seeing yourself from the outside and being honest with yourself and actually digging deep inside here to figure out what's going on in here that's affecting here. So you're not doomed to repeat the same cycle. You're not. You might be believing that you are, but you're not. You're not doomed. This is not your normal. You have the ability to change your normal. And I know deep down inside you believe that's not your normal. It's life is beautiful, man. It's ugly, but it's beautiful. Yeah. Look, guys, if this hit home, just comment one word: anomaly. Until you start putting it out there, you can't make the change. You got to put it out there to start becoming it. And if you want to drop a second comment, what cycle are you trying to break? What cycle are you trying to break? Your comment might help someone else. There might be someone else out there that's trying to break a specific cycle, and it's the same cycle you're trying to break. Go check out the book, Homeless Dad, Laws of the 3 W's, on Amazon right now. The link's going to be in the description. it's been one heck of a journey trying to get this book done. I started it in 2017, and then I scratched it and just pretty much started from scratch in November 2024, and I finished it December 2025, and it was published December 2025. I got it done before Christmas because I wanted to make sure my kids got a copy for their Christmas gift. Well, everyone that matters to me, which was my kids, you know, my girlfriend, her kids, the people who mattered to me. I made sure I got them a copy. My mother, and yeah. So it's been a heck of a ride trying to get this book done. And if you guys need any help applying the 3 W's, you know, if you're trying to break cycles, go check out JBReal Fusion Coaching at fusionhealthcanaan.com. You know, leave me a message. I'm trying to respond to all the comments, and I can't promise that I'm going to get back to them right away, but I'm going to get back to all the comments. I promise I will. You know, yeah. And if you guys are going to stick with me through these 12 episodes, like, share, subscribe. There's no hype, no pretending. We rebuild here, one honest question at a time. Pound it, deuces. I'm out, guys.